Welcome to the GoPROcast, where we invite business doers who are changing lives by sharing their stories, their strategies and tactics, and who bravely talk about their failures that actually led to their biggest successes. Now it's time to Go Pro with Jeremy Torisk. I really believe we're in for a treat today. Gabe Leal is a LinkedIn live streaming expert and video content strategist. I've been following Gabe for a while now, and he is the Iron Man of LinkedIn live streaming. It was a time where he was doing videos every single day is an evening, and I couldn't believe it. The consistency in which Gabe operates his show. He is broadcast a weekly show now called TGIF Live that helps educate us through conversation and interaction. Everything that Gabe has done has come from an idea or a thought that he puts into structured action and has turned into a reality. Please to welcome to the GoPROcast, Gabe Leal. Brother.
Jeremy, well, first off, hats off on the intro. I love that because there's a lot of creators who I kind of where I've started doing live stream evaluations, and I go, hey, just have a little bit of an intro, because here's the thing. For those who don't know, in the live stream, there is like there's actually a latency from when you actually go live until people actually see you and hear your conversation. So that sways as a perfect little time so people can actually catch on, go live, and then start getting involved in commenting and engaging in some of the live streams. So I love that. And anybody that actually does that, I'm like, hats off, man. That's great that you actually understand that. There's a structure to it that I try to teach people strategy.
Learning from the best, man. I've been following you for a while. I start off every one of my shows with an homage to my buddy and yours, Steve Nudelberg, by asking my guest, tell me something good.
Oh, gosh, yes. So for those who don't know, I actually did my stream spotlight of I do a daily live streaming guide for LinkedIn, where I spotlight all of these live streams that are going live every single day. There it is. And today my spotlight was on the Nudelberg Daily Huddle.
Yep.
And the reason that I always go back to what they do, not only does it go to what we've talked about a little bit in staying consistent with what they do, but the message and what they convey to anybody that shows up there is going to be the same. They are as transparent, they are as authentic, they are everything that you want to see in people that you idolize or have as role models. Those are the individuals that you want to see in your life. So that's why I push people all the time to go check it out. If you want your morning optimism, your motivation, your inspiration, or your wake up call, that's almost like a cup of coffee that you're going to get with those guys.
It's a shot of adrenaline or Cuban coffee. Get up,
and get moving, and it gets your day started.
Yeah.
And that's why that's why I love showing up there every day. And a lot of the wonderful individuals that I've met through what happens there. Yeah. So, man, you want to know what's something good every day? It's waking up to something like that.
Yes. That's amazing. And we're going to get to a lot of stuff, and it's going to be a packed show, but I want to stay on this since you brought it up, because I want to give you hats off. The giver in you. This must take a long time, unless you have this automated, which I hope you do. But it's called the Daily Live Stream Guide. Sign up for it in LinkedIn on Gabe's page. But I'm just going to scroll through this real quick and just look at, we're in the 8 o'clock hour, the 9 o'clock hour. There's different shows on here. You probably know personally every one of these people, I would imagine.
A lot of them.
I mean, look at this, keeps going and going. We're still in the morning time here. So this is a guide for who's live streaming every day on LinkedIn and what time they come on and what their show is about. There's something in here for everybody.
And here's the wonderful part, Jeremy. So it's very, very close to being totally automated. There's still a lot of things that have to be small little idiosyncrasies that have to be taken care of. But I tell people it's so simple as just touching the photo.
Yeah.
You don't even have to go anymore to go find a link, to go
Oh,
anywhere.
wow.
If you were actually go with your mouse and touch any one of those things, it's either going to take you to the event that's scheduled,
Yep.
or if it's live now, it'll take you to the live, or it'll take you to the replay if you didn't get to watch it live. You're like, oh, I wanted to go back and watch that conversation. I didn't. There you go. One
Yep.
touch. There you are.
This is incredible. So let me skip down here. It goes all the way from 8 a.m. to, what's the last show airing on here?
So those are like the audio events that I'm now including into what
9 p.m.
That they're going on. So 9 p.m. is the latest, but the reason I wanted, for now. The reason I wanted to put all of that together in the first place was because I wanted to spotlight kind of like what Steve and all the other creators get to do. It takes a lot of time, work, and effort into going into that. And I wanted people to kind of understand that these creators that are taking a lot of what they do, and some of them are just passion projects and putting stuff together like this. I wanted them to understand that, you know what, they're appreciated. Your work, your efforts, and everything that you do, that you're trying to do in helping impact somebody else. You're helping somebody else down the line. Somebody's going to find what you're doing interesting. It's going to resonate with them in a way that only you can do it. So I wanted to be able to bring all of that together and have it into one place so people can go find a diversity of topics, a diversity of individuals. Just it's what this world is.
Yeah, we got to get Larry Longs on. His is weekly though, so we got to get him. I think it's midday, noon on Wednesdays. He does a midweek motivational, 2 or 5 minute thing. So I'll get you hooked up with Larry.
Yes, please do, because that's what I think is. I'm trying to comb and find, and that's the thing. Your network only goes so far. That's why I rely on the networks of other individuals or people who make recommendations and say, you have to check out this person. And then at that point I go, oh my gosh, this is another one that I can bring into the fold, and it'll introduce not just me to that individual, but my network and the network of every other person that might come in there. I've had people tell me, thank you for recommending, again, the Noodleberg Daily Huddle.
Yeah.
I showed up in there. I loved what they did. It's just another great way to again, make connections and do this interview is happening because of it.
Yes.
So that kind of teaches you the power of what this is and what video and streaming and being connected in a network like that. And that's where like my mission is finding as many of these as possible and making it more readily available for people to find. So you don't have to see.
I found we came into contact actually from, let me see, I got the original message here. It was before them even. Gosh, I thought I had it right here in I wanted to drop a note. Oh, Annie Lieb. So Annie Lieb, this is I wanted to drop a note to say how incredible and devotion that your daily shows are. I met Annie Lieb through seeing her on one of your shows. So I saw you, then I met her, and I hired her as a coach for about, 5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
Early last year.
Yeah.
So all these things I might have seen you on the huddle, and then I got to meet her, and it's crazy.
Well, exactly. So I met Annie the same way we actually met through LinkedIn and just connecting, and then we had a conversation, and she wanted to do a podcast, and I said, let's do a podcast together. Let's do this. We wanted to talk about mental health, right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
we did 2 episodes, and then I was already at that point live streaming. I said, you know what? I don't want to do a podcast. I want to let people see who we are, see who you are.
Yes.
Let's go live.
Right. That's so bold.
And we went for it. She's like, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. And then we just started going
Annie.
live. It is. And we started just going live. And then we just started having conversations on there. And it led to so many things. We had group discussions talking about, racial injustice. And we had panels where we were talking. All of it came because, you meet people and you're, hey, let's get on here. Let's talk. And you'll just see how amazing individuals are.
In fact, I do remember exactly. I remember meeting her or seeing her through Mark's, not through the huddle, but through Mark's doesn't matter, get better.
Yes.
Podcast. He had Annie on talking about mental health and how she was misdiagnosed with bipolar for many years,
yes.
and it was something else. And that I messaged her and I said, listen, you might not want to reach out to me, but I need to know who you talk to, because it runs rampant in my family. And so, and she reached right out like the next day, and we had a virtual coffee, and we became besties.
So you get to meet people, wonderful individuals like that, who, like, she just launched a book. Like, she just launched.
She's incredible.
Her book last week, as a matter of fact. So, seeing those individuals and kind of seeing that sort of develop. Yeah. This is the wonderful part of what this is, and what we're getting to do now, is that I want other people, that's part of what my mission is, to bring those people from out of the shadows, who are bold enough, who are courageous enough to go ahead and step and share their stories, and bring them to the forefront. It's amazing what happens. I mean, I've been able to pull out of so many people just out of curiosity and reaching out to me and say, hey, let's get on a live. Let's talk.
Yes.
Are you serious? Yes, I'm serious. And they go, what? I don't think I can do that. And I go, yes, you can. You have a power in you that has yet to be discovered. We're gonna discover that.
You had a transformation though, because you weren't like that before.
Oh no. I've told this story again, and I'll tell it one more time. I was always in photos, and I've showed some on my own live streams. When I was younger, I was always crying because I didn't want to be in the family picture. Yeah. I didn't want the photo thing about me. I wasn't always the most camera ready individual. It was when I decided to challenge myself to do something that was out of my own character. Mm-hmm. Is that when I went on and did a live stream. I mean, I did this I want to say back in November. I did a live stream where I pulled up my very first episode of where I was. I mean, it was terrible. Everything was it was dark.
I remember I was on some of them. I saw them, and it was like this, like, "Hey, everybody!"
So as you go along and you learn the process of how that actually operates, that's where I still tell people, believe me, what you see sometimes in what I do when I'm even back in the studio at home, that's refined. That's already skills that, like, hours and hours of investment of doing my craft.
Yes.
So that's that what I started from and where I'm at. Those are two different people. Those are two different individuals, and those are two different journeys of where things have started. But what still matters the same is that I am the person that still wanted to challenge myself, and I continue to do that every single time that what I do, because that's again, that was the fuel that I needed to get me in a better place in my life, where I wanted to actually go make what I talk about. There's two things that I always talk about: impact and legacy.
I love those two things.
Okay.
I gotta mark that one. 1350, impact and legacy.
Impact and legacy. Let's talk about that, because again,
before you do that though, I just want to say impact. I'm not going to forget, but I want to compliment something you did about pushing yourself and changing. You, not too long ago, had a live stream Friday night where you were like, okay, Friday night after dark, let's play the hits, right? Gabe plays the hits, right? Who wants to listen to what? And I was like throwing out some old school hip hop and some Beastie Boys and Run DMC, and we had a ball, right? Me and you and about 4 people.
Yeah. Well,
right, that's past midnight.
Exactly, and that's the part about it. What I say, you know what, folks? Whenever you take the opportunities to just do what you love, it's not work.
Yeah, it was so fun. It was spontaneous. I don't know if you put any thought into it, but you're like, bam, let's do it.
It was me sitting down and going, you know what? I want to. So when you want to sit down and enjoy the company of people and friends, and you want fellowship around you, you want to have just to have a little bit of that. Well,
I just got chills, and I don't have a sound effect yet, but bam. All right, that's hot. You're melting the walls, right? Value drop. I don't have a Bradley bomb sound yet, but have it. You know, you're by yourself. You want some fellowship. You go on live. You start playing some music, and all of a sudden, you got me and a couple other guys and some women, and we're talking, and we're in the chat. You know, it was so fun,
right? And it lets you understand that, you know what, even though we're on a quote unquote business platform, right?
Yeah.
When we always talk about this, when you let the tie off at 5 or 6 o'clock and you take that off, you're just you're just Jeremy at that point. There's no anything else. And you can actually just feel like an adult wanting to, you know, again, enjoy what you want to do. And that's why I said, people were giving me requests like, I love this. This is what I love to do. This is fun to hear. Again, people that, that are, you know, in my demographic who want to listen and be a part of the conversations and just say, you know what, let's have a little bit of fun and let's
just push the envelope, incorporating music. You were doing some different overlays. It's a chance for you to get 1% better live. You know,
it is right.
You know, so,
and it was something, it was something that, you know, and I thought about it because I was like, you know what, at some point I will actually do that again. Because again, part of me and part of what my persona is that yes, sometimes I like to work very structured. I like to work, especially right now, incorporating a lot of the education part of what I want to teach people in live streaming. But then I always want to teach them the other side of it, of having that little fun of what this can actually be, and it doesn't have to be this strict, confined thing that you can do. You can just let loose, and be a fun individual, and people are going to enjoy it just as much the same as what you're doing it yourself and being there.
So that leads us back to the impact, because that, I mean, even that had an impact on me. I remember it fondly. I think of it often because I was like, you know, when I can't wait till it comes, because I got a list of songs I'm going to tell them about. But so back to impact and legacy, you know, what you wanted to talk about, and so I didn't want to let that go because I believe that that's going to be big.
Well, and this is what I tell people. So like when individuals reach out to me and they're asking or they're curious about like what can live streaming video do for them and what can come out of it. And I tell them, look, what you have to say and what you're sharing is going to make an impact in somebody else's life. And I tell them when I say this is that impact, you don't have to be present for you to make an impact on somebody. I mean, how many people go back and watch like Zig Ziglar videos or Wayne Dyer or all of these individuals to get motivated and change things? Those individuals are no longer here on this earth.
Or what about the Matt McConaughey? You didn't see that. You weren't in that address when he gave that, but a friend sent that to you.
Exactly. And that's where I'm talking, where we're about to head to. Those people make impact on you without them even being present or even knowing who you are. And it was at the lowest point in my journey in my life that an individual sent one of my very closest friends who out of the blue, you know, she'd been very busy. She's an author. She was very busy, but she sent me a video and said, I think you need to hear this. Yeah. And in that moment, it went down deep into a part of me that where my walls at that point were already let down, and it made such a change in my life. It made me listen to that. I mean, thinking about it again still gives me chills about what it did to me, because every time that I go back and hear it, it gives me, and I go back to that emotional place, and I think and I look back of where I've come from that moment in there, but what that video meant to me. And people go, Matthew McConaughey? I said, yes, Matthew McConaughey. He changed my life. And
he doesn't know it.
And he doesn't know it.
And he didn't, you know.
And if there's ever,
you never know who you're going to touch with the words. They're so powerful.
If there's ever a day that I get to meet him, I'll tell him that you know, everything that you've done in your life, you've made an impact on mine.
Yes.
More than you even know. And I'm grateful that you were there for that moment, and what you shared made the impact that what I'm talking about
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
my very heart and soul, that will never ever die or go away. It fueled something inside of me that I really needed.
Yes, at that moment. And
at
that's
that.
why the energy in the universe knew it, somehow.
Mhm.
At that moment, she talked to her, put it in her mind to put you on a message and hit send. And it's a great thing about our lives. If we open ourselves up to that possibility, then it happens,
Oh yeah. Right.
and you don't know who you're going to. So one thing that I'm curious about, though, in your live stuff, if you said something, because you have some guests on that they blow my mind, okay, some of the things they've been through, but is that recorded automatically? Can you record a live so that way it can be replayed or someone else can hear it and send it? Because like on Clubhouse, I hate Clubhouse. I don't go on it purposefully, because if I hear someone on Clubhouse, it's gone in the ethers, it's done. Never get it back. It's like watching a commercial on TV, and I don't like commercials.
So you can go record again. You can go live, and so that's why I tell people, look, even though maybe you're not a big proponent of having like a YouTube page, but I tell people, create a YouTube page, and stream there, because then your videos now have a place to harbor where you can go back, and people can actually all of a sudden. Yeah, exactly, and people can go back and watch them and go, wow.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but when I think of a podcast and I think about somebody, I usually go to YouTube first to find it, to see if I can see the video. And then I go, it's not here. Then I'll just go to Apple or something. So I take a podcast and I do this. This goes to YouTube. It goes out, to all the channels. But YouTube that's what it's there for. Plus, you know what? To tell you the truth, it sounds cocky, but it's too much to waste on just audio. Come on, man.
It is. It's a lot.
I got all this stuff, all these toys I play with. I built this studio, and it's too much to waste on just audio. We got to go. We got to be on YouTube.
It is, and this is this is the wonderful part of it. Again, now all of a sudden, once you've created it and it's out there into the world, right? It could be somebody in I don't know, in New Jersey, and you're in California, and now they see your video and they watch it and they go back and they go, man, this is what I talk about in what impact can be for you. And it could be a year down the line. Jeremy, I saw a show.
It happened to me 2 weeks ago. So I always tell this, I don't sleep. Yes. I literally don't sleep. I get about 3 hours a night. And it's about 20 minutes at a time. From midnight till 4 a.m, I sleep 20 or 30 minutes at a time for about 3 hours until 4:30. Then I get up. And I got a text or a LinkedIn message at 1:34 a.m. I just heard you on a podcast. I was a guest on a podcast a year prior to this, because this just happened 2 weeks ago. And I something you said about, because I tell people, kids maybe shouldn't go to college right away. Maybe if it's something they want to do and they're passionate, then they should go be an intern for 1 year and work for free for a year in that industry to see, yes, I love it. It's my passion. Plus, when you go to college after that year, you're going to see that what you learn in college, it ain't what they taught. It's not what you do. It didn't teach me one thing about the real life. So you have an advantage. Number two thing is, that you want to do it, so you can get those loans because you're going to pay them off because you're going to do it. Or the other thing is, you do it for 3 months and you go, you know what? I don't want to be a veterinarian. Turns out I just like my own animals. I don't care about other people's animals. And I don't like this place smells. I would hate to be here all the time. But now you don't have 4 years of your life wasted and $100,000 in debt. So anyway, she wrote me, and that struck her. I wrote back right away, basically, bing, bing, bing. Great to hear it. Here's my virtual coffee. Let's grab one. She's like, OMG, you really don't sleep. I think I remember saying that on that podcast. And I was like, oh, yeah, I told you. So it's funny that you say that, because that just happened to me. And it was the first time it happened, too. And, since I've been doing all this.
This is what again.
So is that part of legacy? It's impact and legacy.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I use. So when I talk about legacy and what, I want to leave behind, right? This is always a question that I used to end my show with, and people got familiar with it, but it was always a question I would always ask every single guest that came on was, when the book is said and done on, let's just say you, Jeremy, when the book is said and done on you, what do you want to be remembered for, and what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind?
Yeah.
Because then, those two things very much coincide.
Yes.
Because people will remember you one way, but your legacy will be something else that even goes beyond you being remembered at that point. It is something that, again, carries on. So if it's through video, like, that's the part that I think we miss out on a lot of history, rich history that we've missed out because we didn't have things like video and stuff as readily available back then. So like,
Yeah.
memories of like my grandfather and people who were, again, they were the salt of the earth kind of people. But you really don't know too much of the characteristics of like what built them up like that.
Yeah.
You hear the stories, right? And you remember a lot of things.
Get the 8mm tapes with no volume on it.
Exactly.
They're making funny faces in the camera,
Exactly. But you don't get a read into it. But what now in this with technology and what we do now, we have places to harbor a lot of what we talk about and what a lot of is going to be created in here. And there's going to be a time and day where I'm no longer here, but you know what? My kids and my grandkids will be able to go back and they'll look up a YouTube video and they'll go, "There's Gramps," incredible, or "There's Dad."
And that's special too. And then they're not even gonna have to look it up, right? They're just gonna, hit something and think of it, and it's gonna pop up in their sunglasses,
Yeah, and they're gonna be like, "Oh man, I get to," and that's part of it is that this is what we, as not just as people, but as a society, if we use these sort of things in the right kind of ways, and it's going to be everlasting. It's going to be one of those. It's just going to be something that we, as a race, are going to be able to look at and harness for years and years and years to come. The people find the power in the Bible, and that's a book that's been translated over and over again, yet it still makes the same impact on people's lives. So this is what I tell people your videos can do at some point, not to compare it to that, but it's saying at that point, there's wisdom and there's lessons and there's things that people are going to be able to take out of what you have talked about.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's where I say where your legacy and the things that you're creating and you're sharing now are vital. Think about them when you're just doing it. For a lot of people that doesn't hit here, and it doesn't hit here until they reach a certain age, and then it starts to kick in.
Yes.
I've asked I've asked a 17-year-old that question. I had a 17-year-old singer on. That answer, that what they told me then, is not going to be different when it's going to be totally different when they're 47 instead of 17. And what the legacy
it absolutely will be. And through their lives, we all change, and we look back, and that's why with video too, in social media in general, it's so much more important that when you have younger children, to tell them that video is forever. Not only the good stuff, but especially the dumb stuff.
Exactly.
Because if I had this around when I was a kid, there's no way I would be working with people, because they would say, "You are an idiot." Things that I did, I'd be canceled just because I was stupid. Jumping off trees with bicycles into lakes, and just crazy stuff that we used to do.
But that's like where again we're in a different point in history where we're kind of like the generation that's merging the past into the present. I mean, how quickly has life changed in just 100 years?
That's what I say all the time. Imagine the next 20 years is the same as the next 100.
Exactly, right? And this is what, like, again, they're not kids now. They're not going to know the struggle of having to go rent a video, going to a video place and not finding the movie that they want.
Yeah.
They're not going to have to know the struggle of having to have a long telephone cord so you can go talk to your girlfriend.
I have a joke about JCPenney bra section, but I'll save that for another time.
Exactly. And
JCPenney catalog bra sections.
And then just all of it, right? Just all of the stuff that we dial-up internet, all these things that they're not going to have to worry about, that are now instantaneous at the touch of a button at this point.
It's instant. Not only that, but all knowledge is at their
Your
fingertips,
tips.
and they're still dumb. Our kids walk around in a stupor because they're just playing dumb things. I'm going, come on, man. There's so much good stuff on there, and these video games. I hear them yelling upstairs. I'm going, oh my God, they're so like me. It's just horrible. I'd never played video games, but
Right.
I'll yell at a football game. It's the same thing as them yelling at a video game. It's no different.
It was the difference of us having to have a bookshelf to have 26 Encyclopedia Britannicas on there, so we could.
Well, we were poor. We only had the letter M. We had the letter M, and my mom was like, "You need N. Turn it upside down." I'm like, "Mom, it's not the same thing. That's W, first of all, and secondly, it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way. The information does, but not having to go through the struggle of that. Where now it's like, let me just Google or Wikipedia something, and what I need now is that, again, at my fingertips. They don't. That's where I said we realize the power of what we hold in our hands. They're not at that point yet so much of where understanding that now everything is there for the convenient, and everything is there that was struggles for us.
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't you be a straight A student? I was a horrible student. I hated school. I couldn't process anything, but man, I don't know. I would be so different. I would be different if I just had access to, I was a drummer, and I would have I'd have to play the song over and over and over again to hear that drum roll and that fill and to imagine what they were doing with their hands. But man, now I look at a drum roll by the hardest drummer out there and see his hands and his sticking. I'm like, oh, and I do it. 10 minutes later, I'm playing not as good as him, but I can actually duplicate it. Man, I'd be a professional drummer.
Yeah, you would be like, okay, I listen to John Bonham, and now I can understand how he gets stuff done.
Yeah, seeing that triplet and his foot action. It's so weird how that our kids still have that. No, but anyway, we are getting way off the topic. But
let's go back. Well, that's part of it. That's part of impact and legacy, and how that plays into what what our lives are heading down is what our children are going to expect, and what we're going to go through once our grains in our hourglass have turned over and we're no longer here. It is
special. It is special, and it's going to change the way they remember us too, because again, that access. But I want to get right back to the live streaming and your specialty, and I wanted to ask from a mental state of mind, a mindset issue that I think I would have when I would start. In fact, I wish I would have had the thought to do this. Should have been my first live broadcast, right, with you on it. But nevertheless, what do you do with the 1-2 mom is watching you for the first 2 months, right? And your wife's in the other room watching you, and you're paying your kids $4 an hour to watch you, and that's it for 5 followers for the first 2 or 3 months. How do you tell them to work through that, or does it matter the quantity, the quality?
Well, and this is where, like, when I strategically tell people, whenever we strategize about what they're going to go do, and I tell them, when you start talking about what it is that you're passionate about, that's why you have to have something that you are expressively would talk about, whether or not somebody was listening or not. You have to have something that you are going to, you can't just go like, say, I'm going to do business content talking about something I don't think, that I'm not very passionate about, but people are going to find value in it. That's not how this works.
I like it.
Right. You tailor what you're going to talk about. So I was actually doing it with somebody not too long ago, and we were talking about, he's like, I want to do women in tech. And I said, why do you want to do women in tech? What is it about it? First of all, let's open that up.
Yeah.
And then he explained to me why. And I said, great. That is an actual passion. Go do that. Start reaching out, start targeting women who are doing tech. Go type in your search bar, women, tech, business, that sort of deal there. Yeah. And then start finding these individuals, go start targeting and following them and building your network around that. And the tough part for a lot of people part of the reason I built this community and why I pushed this community a lot is because I want to offer people support to keep them encouraged to do this. So when I find that's an excitement for me when I find a new live streamer and I see them put in their post, this is my first LinkedIn live.
Yes.
Okay. I try to push people there to, hey, go check out this individual here, they're part of the community. Show them some love, support.
Yep.
Because there is an adrenaline rush when you're streaming and you
Yeah.
get to see the 5 or 6 people other than mom, your brother, or somebody else that's showing up and commenting. Because then it kind of fuels you to want to do the next one and the next one, and it sort of just builds. So when I thought about doing this and wanted to be able to build a community that will support individuals like this, that was the reason behind it. Because I remember those days where it was just my aunt watching and going, hey nephew, watching.
Oh yeah, you're so handsome.
Yeah, great.
That's my aunt too.
Right, and then taking that and putting that together and going, I wanted to still be able to give people the ability to create, to feel freely, and still have feel like their message and whatever they're sharing, people are still finding an interest in it. So, but it is hard. That's why I tell people it's hard treading. It's like anybody who gets into podcasting. You're not gonna create a podcast, upload it on Apple, and then have 10,000 downloads and people following. That's a misnomer that you feel like you're not Joe Rogan. I'm sorry.
That's right. Yes. Yep.
You're not Joe Rogan. You're not going to be able to.
And it didn't happen to Joe for a number of years. And he was on TV.
It takes traction to build up for a lot of these things. So that's why I gauge people and I say, look, do just like they do with the formula of like podcasts. They tell you like batch record 6 or 7 podcasts, have them in your queue, and then drop them in to your thing as you go along. That way you have content there. I tell people strategize to have 4 live streams, just 4.
Yes, there we go.
Right. And I tell them, once you have 4 live streams planned out and what you want to do with those, go out there, be very conscious about what it is that you can produce in a timely manner. So if it's weekly, bi-weekly, think about it and then commit to that. And be consistent with it. And then at that point, if you feel like after you've done those 4 shows and you don't think that it's going to work for you, or maybe it's okay, let's go back and reevaluate then at that point and say, okay, let's scrap that.
Yeah.
If you want to go do a podcast, maybe that's where you're going to shine at. But at least give it that sort of idea of when you want to start creating with a live stream. And at least giving yourself the opportunity to whether or not it's going to work for you, and whether or not you're going to actually enjoy it. Because I've had people that go, I really didn't like it because of this, and I go, okay, cool, that is understandable.
It's a start, yeah.
It's a start, and it gives us something to say, okay, you know what, this is probably something that's not going to change. So for some people, it's like, I can't handle the technology. That's one that I've heard.
I guess that would mean they're making it too difficult, because it doesn't take much tech to go live your phone.
I know.
But people think that they want to make it, they see my stuff, people see this and they say, you must be really good at technology. And I said, I mean, I'm okay, but I watch YouTube and I watch some videos for hours and figure it out.
I know how to use the transitions. I know how to use either.
Yeah,
I know how to use Ecamm or OBS or whatever these tools that help you kind of do those things. That's not done overnight. That's the study and taking
the first couple times I did it, I was literally in my dining room, trying to get the light right, and then just go, let's go. This is episode 25 or whatever, but episode 1 back on the old show was
go watch episode.
It's like, it was really echoey and everything, but I wasn't doing it for that. But for those people, you got to go look. Think about the message, right? Not the delivery system, but it's really that's what's most important, I would imagine.
Well, and for so when I sit there and I kind of coach people into like how they're going to be able to use again the material that they have around them, right? For a lot of, like, I had this individual, listen to this. I had an individual reach out to me and he's like, when we had our little virtual coffee, he's sitting there and he's got a professional microphone because he's a voiceover artist.
Yeah.
And he says, I don't know if I have what I need to go create a live stream. And I said, bro, first of all, You know, the camera that you have, I mean, excuse me, the first of all, the microphone that you have, you know, that's a very expensive microphone. And he goes, well, yeah, I do voiceover work. And he's already had a thing around him where it's like, I was like, oh my God, you already got half of the equation. Now,
Right.
I said, you're having this conversation with me on a camera and you're live, right? He's like, yeah. And I said, you don't need anything else, my friend.
Right.
You're actually ready to launch. You know what you need? You need your strategy of what you're going to go do. And you just need to go do it at that point. And I was like, it's not that difficult to get started. And I tell people, I've seen, again,
it reminds me of remember Swingers? You're like this bear, but he's got claws, and you don't even know it, man. You got these claws, and you're a bear, and the baby's just sitting there for you.
Exactly. So I watch and it just astounds me sometimes that, you know, I think it's the factor that they see other individuals, and it's a comparative mindset of like, oh my gosh. What he's doing and what I'm doing, I'm nowhere near that.
Yeah.
Look, you don't have to have you don't have to have a $600 Rodecaster Pro. You don't have to have a $300 Stream Deck. You don't have to have, you know, all of these things.
You need a quiet room.
Exactly.
Get the baby and the dog out. Get the echo out. Because that's the number one thing is the sound for video and audio.
Exactly.
Sound is number one. No one's going to watch the best video if it sounds like this and then it can't really hear it. You're not going to watch the video. So this is your number one thing. And this is the Rodecaster. This one's $125 mic.
Yeah.
It's the best mic I've ever had. I love this microphone. I got two of them. For one for guests, but the Shores and all that, the $450. This mic is just as good.
It's just like I said, I've seen people like, again, you know what he had? He had the Shure SM7B, and I'll go, that's a $400 microphone, my friend.
Yeah.
Do you know that? And I said, and plus you already had the pop filter, you had everything around. I was like, what else do you need, my friend?
Yeah,
you know?
You need the mindset.
You need the mindset.
He was afraid. The real thing was fear.
He was asking me if I needed to stream he was asking me, do I need to stream on my iPhone 13? And I go, no. you almost got a professional studio around you.
Yeah.
Turn on the camera, start streaming, and start creating content.
So
that's what
how does one measure improvement on a live stream?
Oh, so this is a really good one. So I tell a lot of people when they start live streaming, like how much they've improved. I said, well, number one, you're going to be able to tell you improved because when you start doing the work and you start doing the repetition and you start getting all these things in place. I said, so we know what SMART goals are and how we can use measurables, right? So just like what we do I said, film episode 1 and then go film episode 6. Right. And I
skip a couple.
It said, exactly. I said, don't go 2, 3, 2, go number 1 and then number 6. When you first started, you were figuring out, first of all, your whereabouts. How are you going to have a conversation? Or if you're even monologuing, you're doing it solo shows, right? You're going to figure out okay. Then you find that level of comfortability in how you can do this. When you go back and you start watching like what you've done from point A to now where you're at points D, E, or F, right? You see how easily things that were very intimidating for you very first time are not. I mean, you don't even think about using the technology now, do you?
Right.
The first time.
So give yourself some space to make some mistakes.
Exactly. Yes. And it said, and don't fall prey to what a lot of people fall victim to, which is the Vanity Matrix and seeing like, oh my gosh, so my first show had 10 comments and then my sixth show had 20. Okay, you know what? That's 10 more than what you had from the very beginning of what you started. And again, that just tells you in a short amount of time, you've doubled the people that are showing up or the comments or the individuals.
Yeah, you're moving them. You're calling them the call to action. They're getting interactive. They want to feel part of it. You're making them feel part of it. People don't just comment on their own. You got to create that. You know how the dang Noodleberg huddle is. It's a nonstop. That's a show within the show. The comment section.
Well, just look how many people show up. So anywhere there, it's anywhere from to the viewer. So you can see the viewership on there. It goes from anywhere from 45 to 60 people at any one point.
Always. Yeah.
In a single stream, folks.
Yes.
You know what? But that took a lot of work to get to that point, and that took a lot of the dedication and time to do that. You can build that. People can build that, but you got to remember, it's
consistency.
Consistency. Number one is being there, and it, I tell people this: if you're going to have a show and a live stream, and you don't let your audience be engaged in what you're doing, you might as well just film a podcast. You might as well just say, you know what?
Yes,
I'll do a podcast and not even worry about that, because people want to feel like they're part of the conversation there. And here's a great thing about it. They actually sometimes might even extend more value to what you're talking about with your guest.
Chispa, right? Give you a spark. Give you a little.
Right? That's it. And that's part of it is letting those individuals come there, because you know what, somebody might be watching this, an expert or somebody else that's very familiar, like with what the individual you're having on is talking about. They might ask questions that you might not have thought of that pertain to your guest, and they're going to go, that is an excellent question. Let's get into that. And it just helps your content move right along with what you're doing. So as I said, include your audience, include your tribe, include the people that are there, because then it's just going to spur more and more people wanting to show up, because then they feel like, you know what, that individual who's talking to me and those people that are there, they are, they're part of my life, and they make me feel like they're a part of theirs. Yeah. And that's a big part of it. And when I tell people to kind of remember to keep that part of engagement going on, because this is what it is. This is,
yes.
Again,
that's
this
all
is
we
networking.
have. We use it. We've got all this stuff now.
Exactly. I said, you want to go find what the successful people do. That's what they do. Go find like the gamers on Twitch who are streaming, and they have 500 people not only watching, but then all of a sudden tipping money and helping these individuals.
It blows
do this.
my mind.
And you go, how are they doing? Because they keep their audience engaged. They make them feel included in what they do. And it kind of just continues to build over and over and over again with there being that part of it. So the same thing for you. If you're getting into this thing, Russ Johns, who's my mentor, he's the one that told me that, Gabe, if you're going to do this, this is a marathon. This is a long-term deal. If you're looking for instant results and success, unless you're a celebrity that has something tied to you, you're not going to get an instant following.
No.
You're not going to get all these other things built around you. You could have Gary Vee on. This is your first time and you have Gary Vee on, okay, cool. You're still not going to get the engagement of somebody who's been there for a year all of a sudden, and then has Gary Vee on, and they're like, oh my God, it's a different animal. You got to have something built around it.
Yeah, exactly. Sweat equity, just like anything else. Now, the only thing I would say that is better than sweat equity is having a consistency. Is you never know who's going to see it, share it, and then it pops and goes viral. And now all of a sudden, because of your consistency, all of a sudden you go from like 5 or 10 to 30, 40 because something went viral, and now everyone's going to be tuning in. So it's important to just stick with it if it's worth it, and if it moves you.
Stick with it. That's why I say that's why I push passion first and tell people I
love that.
You got to remember that. If you're not going to be able to talk about it, like I always tell, like when I talk to them, first thing I say, what's your favorite sports team? And they'll tell me, they'll say, okay, can you not sit in there and talk about 30 minutes or an hour about either what's good about your team, what's wrong with your team, and everything else, with you not even, again, thinking about it. You're just already instantly in mode. I said, that's a passion. That's something that you don't even have to worry about building content. You're already like opinionated. You have your thing, what you're going to talk about. I said, that's what you have to do whenever you're creating your content. Think about that in a form of where, like for me, I could talk about live streaming all day. That's not, I'll talk for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours if you let me. But that's because that is what I'm passionate about. I'm not going to be able to talk to you about how, I'm not turning over my sales marketing rate
Yes, right.
I can't.
That's not your bag,
That's
but
not
you
my
have
bag.
people on and you ask them questions and make them interesting, and you expose it. But then you're gonna go back to what you love.
That's right.
Right.
Because there's an individual that's going to, again, that can tell you about conversion rates and how they're able, if that's
KPIs.
Yes, and if that's what they're all about.
And I love that stuff, but not everyone does.
Not
and
everybody
you got to make it interesting too. Put your own spin on it. Make it yours. Everyone's got a flavor. What's your jam?
It does, and that's where, look, as a creator, whenever you sit down and you want to start, building out a content strategy, or even in live streaming what we're doing here, or even in creating a podcast, you sit there and you look at what, like, sort of a path that you want to build. So if your podcast is talking about, let's just say, comic books, right? You're going to try to reach people in that field, in that sector, that you can go reach out to and have conversations with. That's just going to be the natural order of things and how it's going to feel. And then if it evolves into something else, it does. But
right.
Rely on
it's also like, you don't start a business for money because you're not going to make any. You got to start what drives you? What makes you pop out of bed? It's kind of the same thing, right?
It is, and it's a big thing for a lot of people who put the cart before the horse, right?
Yes.
And they sit there and that for me, that's where I always teach people to sit down and let's have because I've had people ask me, why do we have to have a strategy session?
Well,
why do you want to have a strategy session with me? I'm like,
that says a lot right there, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. I'm like, that's why, like, I fight the notion that people when people say, just go do it. I always say, just go do it, but do it with a little bit of intention.
Yeah.
Right?
It was one thing to try something, just go try something. But when if you think this is it, it's not going to be good if you just pick something up and just start, because I don't think it's going to be effective, and then you're not going to get the feedback, and then you're going to get discouraged. Like you said, strategy, invite some people, make an announcement, make a splash, let people know it's coming, do some build up,
and that's all it is. It's just like how much you're going to, it's an investment. You're investing your time in this, and time is
more than money.
That's where I said, that's
because money's unlimited, and time.
That's what, exactly. You're right in the ballpark of how I figure. I said, time is the one currency that we can spend and not make back. You can lose every single dime that you have, and you can go back and earn it and tenfold. You can, but you'll never be able to take back that time that what that is. So that's why I say use it wisely, man.
And I think this time has been used wisely. I know you're sitting in a van. You're committed because you had bad internet service. We didn't even explain that in the beginning. Like, why are you? But your commitment to your word. Say, yes, I'm going to be here at 1:00, and you're here at 1:00 because you had to make do. And I appreciate your time. I appreciate your commitment.
Hopefully that by the time I get back, Spectrum has has taken care of that, because I do have a live stream tonight at 9:00 that I do every Friday.
Yeah.
So
you got some time. That's outside of your circle of control.
Exactly. That's what I said. I can't control certain measurables like what I can do. So if it hopefully it's taken care of, it will be taken care of. If not, I'm still planning to do a live. Exactly. You'll see me in a live.
The live van.
A live van, but you'll see me doing it.
So I know I'm going to put up your is the LinkedIn the best way to get a hold of you these days?
Yes. LinkedIn is probably the best way to connect with me. I spend probably 85% of my time on LinkedIn. Now I do have
it's a great page too, by the way. I love it.
You.
It looks great.
I'm building out my Twitter, because I do have an objective to get on to Amazon Live, targeting hopefully around August. So I have to build I don't know why, but I have to build a large following, not too large, but a large following, enough on Twitter to have the ability to go apply to do Amazon Live because they don't consider LinkedIn a social media platform. So even if you could have 1.3 million followers here on LinkedIn. If you go apply for Amazon Live and want to go stream there, they're going to tell you, yeah, that's not going to work. We need a bigger following on YouTube or Instagram or on Twitter.
Wow. Did not know that. YouTube, Instagram, Twitter.
Yeah.
What about Facebook?
Facebook, yeah, they consider. I mean, again, the quote unquote the social media platforms.
You mean the guy who owns? You mean the two guys who own those five or six things, right?
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, go figure.
So go figure. But that's where they want that out of you as a creator. So for you to be able to do that, you got to have a large following on one of those other platforms. So other than that, I don't spend any other time outside of LinkedIn. So
yes, it's where it's at, and our network is awesome. I'm happy you're part of mine.
Yeah, and vice versa.
We got to do this again because it's just too much to get into. I mean, my new thing is to try to get these to around 30 minutes, and this is double that. And I want more.
It's still not enough.
My people want more. So we're gonna do this again. I do. I love the hell out of everything you do, Gabe. Gabe Leal, GABELEAL for the listeners.
Yes,
we do so much video, we forget about the listeners sometimes. But we'll do this again. And thanks for being on the GoPro show.
Man, anytime, any place. I tell
the
people.
GoPRocast.
GoPRocast. There you go. Any place, anytime. Just reach out to me. I'm always open to any individual who wants to go out there and really learn and have a conversation. That's all I really ask of anybody, is to show a little bit of interest. And
yeah, and you're offering also a live streaming session too.
Yes.
To anybody who wants to.
Anybody who wants to go out there, I offer a 1 hour strategy session for you to get going.
I'll put those links on the video side. I'll put the links over there on the audio side. So just scroll down and click it.
And that just speaks to my commitment of what I want to do in my craft and helping other creators do this. So I've done giveaways on my show where I've given away lighting, I've given away a microphone, I've given away free services to like.
We could do a whole show on that, on how to get giveaway stuff.
And how to give away stuff and help people just to kind of motivate them to continue to be live stream creators and what that is for me and why it is my passion and what I do. So I try not to just talk, but to walk.
No, sir. You walk with this big stick. I'm telling you, I open the show with it. I'll close the show with it. I have never seen anyone do so many live shows and consistently every night. No tightrope, no net. It's just you. And I'm talking, the Noodlebergs do it 5 days a week, and they're great. And they've been doing it for a couple of years. You do it on the weekends. You do it on Friday nights. You do it. I mean, literally, I'm sitting next to my wife, and I go, "Look, he's doing it right now. He's doing it again now." Yeah, how does he do it?
Well, listen to this, Jeremy. Before we talk about out here, look, I do this apart from being a father of 4. I have 4 dogs. I have, I still hold a career that I do in sales. So when I tell people the moment that I get to make the transition full time, watch out.
Watch out. Mine was July 21st, my friend. July 21st was my full. I skinned shed that skin. Yeah, I turned 50 on May 28th. On July 21st, I retired from that 30 years of being in that industry. I built this studio. I call it the Get To Studio, because I get to come here every day and play with my friends and make content and help people. I have a Get To life.
Man. That is, again, folks, you want a goal. You want a goal. Set something out like that for yourself. And you know what? That's why I said everything that I've ever done has started with an idea that I've transformed into a reality. And this is going to be a reality for me.
They're structured action.
It's a structured action. Yes.
Love it. We're going to get you some folks, and we'll see you again real soon.
Thank you, folks.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching this episode. I really hope you took notes. And this is really the first time that I started writing down the timestamp when Gabe was telling us, because I'm going to put some good stuff in the descriptions, because really there's just too much to absorb at this speed. So stay tuned. Every couple of days now, I'm doing these shows now. We're going to start dropping these 2-3 times a week. And I'm inspired. All right. I'm going to go live in February. I'm going live in February. I'm throwing down the gauntlet. We're going to start doing some live stuff too. So thanks, Gabe, for being on the show.